Welcome to Writer's Block, K-State student-run podcast where Touchstone staff have on-the-square discussions on all things literature. My name is Ian Lutz, editor-in-chief of Touchstone magazine, and I'm here today with Margo Losier. In addition to being a graduate teaching assistant and a member of the Touchstone staff here at K-State, they're also a poet and a local musician. We're here today to talk about the intersection of poetry, music, and the telling of life experience in their creative process.
I only think of her when things go wrong. Am I the sailor or the Albatross?
Tell us a bit about yourself, Margo. Who are you? Where is home for you, and when did you get into songwriting?
Hi, I am Margo. I am a person, and I am a student. Namely, I love to be a student. It's like I keep on coming back to school. I don't think I'll ever stop. But home for me is kind of all around. My family moved around a lot when I was younger, but I lived in Overland Park briefly. I'm coming here from Tampa and Gainesville, where I got my undergrad at University of Florida. And Manhattan is really feeling like home lately, which is really, really nice. I have great roommates, great friends, great coworkers here at, K-State is great. And I started getting into songwriting like really young. I was raised Catholic, and I used to make like Jesus-style parody songs. So one Christmas, I remember, I think the first song I properly wrote was a parody of Frere Jacques, but I put like, it was like, bells are ringing, Jesus is born, Jesus is born. It was crazy. But I've been writing for a long time. I haven't been writing well for a long time, if you
I'm sure
know
it's not
that. But I've loved songwriting for a really long time. And I've been writing pretty consistently for almost all my life. And there have been off periods for sure, but yeah.
So how do you determine which experiences of your life become songs? Do you sense something will become a song while you're living in the moment, or is it something which emerges after the fact for you?
I've been thinking about this, especially because it's changed as I've gotten older. I found that recently I'm more interested in writing pieces that are a bit introspective. Like the 3 songs that I'm going to use today are all in some ways about looking into my head and figuring out like why I have a feeling. And I really like that way of writing. Like I've found myself more often now having big feelings and then feeling the need to like pull out my guitar. And sometimes like the feelings are too big to just keep here, and I imagine that the poets listening get that. And like it's the you write it in a journal, but like I end up writing it in a song. But when I was younger, it was often around like moving. I moved around, so I would write about like as a young person moving, and like I've always had like this recurring theme of like letting go in my music. Like I have this like inability to like I hold on to things. I think also partially because I write. Like I like to capture moments. So lately I've been kind of interrogating that, like in my music, being like, why can't I need to let go of this whole letting go thing. But it's sometimes you like sometimes you'll be in a room and it's that feeling when you're like at a party, and in that exact moment it feels just right to be at that party. It's like your favorite people are at the party and you're all doing something that you really love, like you're playing your favorite board game, and then you're like, yeah, this is one. I also like sometimes I'll think something's going to become a song and it doesn't. I like to have in my notes app just a little like note that's specifically poetic things that I see, and it's just called that. And then I try to write in it when I see something that I think could be a poem or a song. I have one from my undergrad where I saw like a giant pair of jeans. Like it was like a decoration or a billboard or something, but it was just so funny to me to see a giant pair of jeans, and it felt like something that could be something later, you know? So I just try and like pocket little things.
So a lot of it's the everyday that strikes you.
Yeah. I really like the I think that music is such a great medium to express the beauty in like what might be the mundane to some, or like what maybe you don't appreciate in some moments. But I think that it's been a really good outlet for me, not only to appreciate my life, but also to emote in a way that's kind of more satisfying than like just conversation or just like I don't know. There's something about music that like allows you to pour it out of you every time you sing. I love it. It feels very cathartic to perform, I think.
On the topic of little things causing catharsis, there are plenty of poets out there, hopefully many who are listening to this very interview, who might wonder, like, writing lyrics is a special kind of poetry, right? Which many have trouble crossing into. How do you navigate that transition into musical poetry? Do these lines come first and then the musical notes and the rhythm afterward? Or is it the other way around?
What's funny is like I was practicing my songwriting before I was practicing my poetry. So you could look at songs that I wrote when I was like 16 or 17 that are kind of solid, and you could look at poetry of mine from that age, and it is rough. I genuinely believe that I did not start really feeling like my poetry was like reflecting what I wanted it to until I took an undergraduate poetry workshop, and it really, really helped me. But from someone who's coming from the opposite end of the spectrum, going from music into poetry, I think that the transition from poetry into music is one that people get insecure about, but there's so much poetry in the music. So the only thing I could write when I was younger were sonnets, because they have a strict meter and a strict rhyme pattern and structure. And so I like latched onto that because I had been able to do that in my music before. So if I could recommend anything, it's write a couple sonnets. And that's sort of, I think, a good way to get into it. If you can think about poetry and how sometimes when you write in a style that is not your own, it challenges you to look at things in a new way or to try and find words that fit that structure. I think that a lot of songwriting has that too. It's sort of like writing in a poetry form that you're like not super comfortable with yet, but it's 100% worthwhile, and sometimes we'll get really unique work out of you. So I think that playing around with meter, even if you're not going to like, I don't think any of my songs are written in iambic pentameter, but like the component of meter and rhythm that I learned in that early poetry has really helped me in my songwriting. And the stuff that I learned in my poetry workshops in undergrad has definitely helped me in establishing stronger imagery. I was really good at putting my thoughts to music when I was younger, like just feelings that I was having, but I didn't know how to like articulate those things like with any sort of simile. I was very direct, very literal in my music. But the spaces where I get to make things a bit more vague or like express an idea in a way that feels like funny to me, that's what I feel like I've gotten from poetry, like just the sort of like silliness and whimsy that I can put into my writing. And yeah, poetry, like there are some artists out there who are basically just saying poetry to instrumental music, and like that's poetry that I love and it's music that I love. And so finding that sort of intersection is, I think, a task, but one that is well worth it.
I'll lay in my bed and invent ways to get hurt. It's better for me to just hide.
It seems like we're already leading into the idea of how to be a musician here. Well, you have much more life ahead of you, and to learn and grow as a musician, you're clearly experienced and an adept at your craft. If someone were to ask you how they could begin songwriting, what would you advise them? any particular good or bad habits you've learned?
Firstly, you flatter me. Thank you. Adept? Okay. I would say that especially if you've written before in any form, you are not good at writing at first. No one is good at writing at first. People can say that they have a natural penchant for it, but like, does anyone really? I think that the ability to be okay with and to celebrate bad music that you make is 100% something that I would recommend. Like, I have hundreds of voice memos on my phone dating back to 2017. I have maybe 15 to 20 songs that I would consider good songs, but I keep those bad songs. I do not delete them from my voice memos because it is not only important to remember the process and everything that gets you to the good end product, but also to remember that these are like little bits of yourself. Even if they're not like the best communicated or the most articulate bits of yourself, they are like pieces of your personhood. And so I treat my voice memos like this journal. I went back and listened to a couple of my earliest songs before this interview, and some of them are just so cheesy and rough and hard to listen to, but I listen anyways, and I try my best to look at that past version of me with a lot of love, because that person made me this person. I could not possibly be a good writer if I wasn't a bad writer first. And I don't think that there are good or bad habits. Okay, my uncle, who is like the best songwriter that I know, he is just so excellent with like giving you the straight to it, like tough love advice. And he goes, write every day. Like you can't not write every day. I don't write every day. I don't. I try to play my guitar every day. I do write as often as I feel like writing, but also you have to give yourself the grace to step away from it too. I've had periods of like 3 or 4 months where I don't write a thing, and that's a part of the process too. I also think if you're having trouble deciding what kind of sound you want to have, listen to the things that you love and then steal them all. And I don't mean literally, but the first song that I played, I didn't steal. The Travis picking pattern is one that's common, but one that I wouldn't have known if I didn't listen to Kansas's Dust in the Wind. And great song. I loved the song. I loved the way the guitar sounded, so I learned how to play that, and then I moved things around and made it my own. So starting with the things that you know that you like, and then learning how to do those things will open up so much opportunity to make music that you like. And also remember that it's not some poor imitation. Every single artist out there is some sort of amalgamation of every artist they've heard before and every person they've ever known. And like, I like to think that like so much of my art is informed by every person that I've ever loved. A lot of my art is like borderline co-written because my roommate Ram is a songwriter as well. She's great, so talented, ridiculous. And I used to love the way that she wrote when I was like 14 years old. And so I would try and pocket the things that I loved of hers and find ways to scoot them into my music. And I don't think that I would be the musician I am today without that. And so just know what you like and follow that. And also know that you're not going to be very good at what you like first. You establish the taste for it, right? I love singer-songwriter folk. But when I started writing music, the only thing I felt actually capable of writing was indie pop. And I would play my ukulele, and the guitar just seemed so daunting and challenging. But I started listening to the stuff I liked enough that I really wanted to make stuff that I liked. And so I started to learn to play. I've had a guitar since I was 16. I have been seriously playing the guitar since I was 20, 21. So know that, like, there's no bad time to start. And it also does not mean it's the end if you stop for a while. But consistency is valuable for sure.
I especially love this idea that songwriting is this collaborative effort with musicians you've never met and never will meet. Mm-hmm. It's a bit of inspiration from friends, a bit of inspiration from those you admire, and then a little bit of, creative stealing, as you mentioned. I'm not sure if you saw, like, some time back, but the guy behind Gorillaz shared where the basic theme or the basic beat for Clint Eastwood came from.
Yeah.
It was a Casio omnichord. He just hit rock preset number 1 and went, I just need to start with something.
No way.
Presses that, and it is exactly the drum beat. It's exactly the synth chord, and he just went from there.
That's great.
So I think your idea of just start somewhere, start with what you like, and then build from there is probably the best advice I have heard.
Yeah. Oh, I want to add one thing. Yeah, steal stuff. Start writing parodies if you feel like you can't start writing your own melody lines. My friends and I have this game right now where we're pretending that Josh Groban has covered every song in the whole universe. And so the game is that you go like, oh, have you heard Katy Perry's Firework, Josh Groban's version? Have you heard like his cover? And then you find a way to shoehorn his name into it. And even like little games like that and ways that you morph and mix around music make you far more conscious of what the music is doing. You got to figure out what the music is doing first before you can do it. And like, that's something I really, really like to do is mess around. I love to take my favorite musicals and then do silly covers where I'm just singing what I'm doing in the moment. But it's a great way to practice rhyme and meter. It's awesome. Also, never be afraid to be embarrassed or never be afraid to be like just cheesy generally. Some of my best stuff when I was younger was the cheesiest, and I still, as like a young adult, am writing things where I can go back and go, oh, I wrote this 2 weeks ago, that was corny. But writing the corny stuff is how you get to the good stuff too. And also sometimes the corny stuff is the best stuff. Like I think that sometimes being earnest in your art or just in general is fought against, but being earnest is like a really great like pipeline to the being real. And I love being real. And so I try to I've been lately like trying to challenge myself to make myself laugh with my lyrics, which is also really fun. It's just like, you know, giving yourself little challenges, and remember that like songwriting is a relationship with yourself. Like it's like a process where you get to know yourself better and also get to express yourself in a way that you didn't have access to before. And that is like magical. It is so cool.
I love it. I suppose my final question is quite a toughie. I don't know if you're quite ready for this. Where can people find your music? I mean, will you do a run of like CDs or cassettes if you're going to go retro? Will you post your work online, or are you more of a you just have to come to my performances kind of artist?
Okay, so when I say don't be embarrassed, I need to take my own advice. I haven't recorded much new stuff since I was probably 18 years old. I love writing music. I still find it hard to share it. It's vulnerable. But what I do have is music that I wrote between the ages of 15 and 17 that's on Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music, and potentially others, maybe Pandora. And that is under the name Maggie Losier, MaggieLosier. And if it's not, it's under the name Margo Losier. I am not 100% sure on that. And I have an Instagram. I don't put any music up there, but if you want to like see me. And then I have a YouTube that I used when I was very young. That one is for sure Maggie Losier. And it's all the stuff that I was writing in high school. So if you want to see where I started to get where I am, I think it's valuable. I look a little silly. I'm really, really excited about the stuff that I'm writing during that period. And it's like such a beautiful little time capsule of that time in my life. I have a TikTok as well. That one is Margo Losier. So just, look me up. Take a look. That's, if you want my most recent stuff, it's going to be on TikTok.
And for sure, we're going to be putting all the links that you are wanting us to see in there. But your new stuff, like the stuff we've heard today, are you going to upload it on there?
So my interviewer here is really encouraging me to get out there and write and put it out to the masses. And you know what? Maybe I will. You'll just have to subscribe and find out. No, I really do want to. I really am so proud of like the new direction my music is going, and I like in the interest of like that sort of public diary thing, I'd like to start posting again. So keep your eyes peeled, and I'll think about it real hard, and I'll try recording some stuff. I've got a microphone at home. I can do it.
We also have a lovely recording
Oh
studio
yeah,
for you
this
to
is
use.
like incredible. Very cool recording studio. Shout out to the Innovation Lab.
Innovation Lab at K-State. You're the best,
Mm-hmm.
if you're even listening. So fantastic. I had to ask. I'm also one of those people that I just came to a performance and heard this and went, we need to learn about the poetic process and how we turn it into music. So I really want to thank you for coming in.
I want to thank you for asking me questions. I love to talk about writing. I also love to tell people to write. Write, please. We need more writers. We always need writers, and your writing is probably really cool, and you should write more.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming.
Can't they see I'm out of place? Maybe I should go away. Maybe I will go away.
That was Margo Losier discussing their relationship with music, words, and the life they encapsulate. If you know of any hidden lyrical poets in K-State, feel free to tell us about them at touchstonelitmag@gmail.com. Link is in the description below.